How's it, guys? So winter has finally arrived. Just quickly, no shout outs today, my apologies. I've somehow misplaced my book with all my list of names, so I can't do any shout outs, but I would like to thank the guys who have joined the channel and welcome them to the channel, and to thank all of you for your continued support and contributions. Guys, I enjoy the interactions, I enjoy the messages. I try and get round to all of them. It does get a bit challenging sometimes, but thanks. For the new guys, I do this because I enjoy it, not because I make much money out of it. In fact, I probably average about 200 bucks a video. So in South Africa, YouTube's not large. I'm not doing it for the money, I'm doing it for the passion. So if you enjoy it, give me a thumbs up and drop me a message. Tell me what you think. And if you have any thoughts and ideas, please feel free to share them with me. So as I said, winter has finally arrived. It's now 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. and it's the first sunny, warm day we've had for the week so far. Now, just quickly, as you know, I've just done a holistic management course, and based on the course, you work out your grazing days ahead of time. And I was trying to figure out how I would best explain this. And while I'm on this, I see I'm missing a cow. One of my toolies is missing. I'll have to go and look for her. That's concerning me a little bit. It's odd that she's not with the rest of the herd. So yeah, I'll go and look for her now. Anyway, so I've worked out my grazing days. I've done my grazing plan. And typically how it happens is you plan one season ahead and you work on 2 seasons, your green season and your brown season. So I've done my plan ahead of time, and I've worked out that I have more or less 230 grazing days that I need. And it's kind of like a budget. You rate your camps according to how much grass you think you have. Of course, you can under or overestimate this. But as time goes by, you'll get more accurate and you'll get better at it. So I've worked out my grazing days. You can see the grass is now fully browned down. And I was supposed to have moved these animals last weekend. Fortunately, it's a plan. It's not a rigid system. And I chose not to move them. And the reason I chose not to move them was because we got forewarning from the weather forecast last weekend that there was a possibility of snow in our area. Now, snow is not something that we get on a regular basis. In fact, I think in 32 years we've had a light spattering of snow or dusting of snow twice. But the forecast also said it would be bitterly cold, and if we didn't get snow, we would get rain. So I said to myself it would make better sense to rather graze this camp a little bit longer and allow the animals access to those trees in the background, because then they could take cover over there if the weather became really bad, if there was inclement weather. So they'd be able to take cover over there, and by taking cover, it means that although it's cold, the cold would affect them less. Now you can think for yourself, if the grass looks like this, we know the grazing quality or the nutritional value of the grass isn't very good. So they need a lot more grass just to meet their normal daily maintenance levels. And temperatures dropped -2, -3. The maximum was at one stage 8 and 9 degrees. It had rained, we got 10 mils of rain, the wind was blowing. So you have this wind chill and rain chill effect. And all that really means is the animals need a lot more energy during that cold spell. So every little bit of help you can give them some shelter, give them those trees where they can take shelter. Every little bit of help counts a lot under these conditions. Now, that's not what I was actually going to talk about today. What was interesting and what I picked up is, as expected, the cattle took shelter in the trees. I had to go and look for them in the trees, and while I was there, I noticed that there's still a lot of green grass in and amongst the trees. And there's a microclimate, and I'm going to insert some pictures that I took while I was there, but there's a whole microclimate that exists between the trees that you don't have on the outside over here. In fact, there's a lot of red grass in between the trees that is still properly green. And when I say properly green, I'm talking about it's still in a growing stage. Despite the cold temperatures, despite the shortened day length, despite the fact that we've already had frost a couple of times this year. And what that really taught me at the end of the day was I just need to consider my grazing for next year a lot better. There's a bit of a wind swirl coming up. I don't think you guys will see it. Wind is picking up a little bit. They've said there's going to be a low pressure system coming in, so we're expecting a bit more cold to come in the next 2 days. But in any case, so this taught me, or the lesson I learned out of this is, I need to plan my camp rotations better. Now, what am I getting at? This grass is dry, it's brown. It has nutritional value, but obviously not as much as green grass. If I'd grazed these camps at a time when the cattle had access to the trees over there, I would have made better use of this grass here before it went totally brown, and I would have saved or built up volume in amongst those trees over there. The whole idea is to keep my cows on green grass as long as possible going into the winter. That way it's easier for them to meet their daily nutritional requirements, especially their energy requirements. They're on palatable grasses for much longer, and you get better utilization of your grass. So I'd already planned how I was going to subdivide this camp. I had to go back after seeing this and change my plans. And what I think my approach will be is that early season, once again there in the trees and up on the koppie, early season, it's a sweeter type of variety grass growing there. So early season, I'll put them in quickly graze it a little bit, and then let it rest, and then keep them on these grasses. And as the season changes and the grass starts dying off, I will then concentrate on these grasses and graze them as far as possible while there's still some green to them. And when I've really efficiently and effectively utilized this grass as far as is possible, I will then allow them access again to grazing in amongst the trees. So that's the idea. And why do I want to do that? Once again, the aim is to keep them on green grass as long as possible, number one. Number two, if there are cool season grasses growing up there, I want to allow those grasses the maximum amount of time to actually grow out. So it just makes perfect sense. And of course, the longer they have access to green grass, the less they need to take in of the supplement that I give them. As I mentioned, I've had reason to reconsider my stance on supplementation. Urea is a supplement given to increase the protein levels in the winter. And where I thought supplementation was more for the animal, it's also used as a tool, because what we were taught on the course is the moment you provide them a bit of urea, they tend to graze more of the unpalatable species that they ordinarily would not have grazed. And by doing that, you're taking down the dead material, you're preparing your pasture for the next summer, you're exposing the growth points, and you're also getting better utilization of your grass that you have on your farm. I'm just going to walk over to the 4 new cows that have come. They're slowly settling in. They're not as skittish as what they were. They're actually looking very, very good. They're looking beautiful. Keep in mind they still need to adapt to the farm, adapt to our climate, although it's not a huge difference from where I bought them, and more importantly, adapt to our grasses. What I have noticed though is, and it does concern me a little bit, is that the 4 of these, or these 4, sometimes break away from the main herd because they haven't yet quite been accepted into the main herd, which I don't like. I don't like them being spread out and separated. However, the last 2 days, I'd find many of those animals, when they do break out or split up, grazing with these. So that's a good thing. It takes them a while to get their herd dynamics in place, to settle in and to be accepted by all of them. Just something interesting. My employee, my worker, or my herd master, that's actually a nice name. I like that description. My herd master in the week found these animals grazing on the top by themselves. He attempted to bring them down to rejoin the herd, and they ended up running around with a blessbuck because they were fairly wild and they don't know him that well. So yeah, they're fairly skittish, but they're looking absolutely gorgeous. I'm extremely happy with them. Keep in mind, we've just had a bitterly cold week. We've had an extremely cold spell, and they're new to the farm, but yet such is the hardness of this breed. They adapted. They haven't missed a beat. They haven't skipped a beat. This is the one we fondly refer to as the milk cow because of her pattern. That one over there, she's a beaut, and I have a high expectation of her. I think she's going to develop. There you go. I think she's going to develop into a beaut. That one over there, she's just beautiful from the word go. So yeah, they're looking good. They've settled in. They're happy. They're shiny. That's the most important. Coats are shining, then you know that they're healthy. Just quickly, that one's just taken a poop now, and I just want to have a look what it looks like. Okay, so I can see by the manure that they're not digesting this grass as well. But that's to be expected, because as I said, they say it takes 8 to 14 days. There you can see that one's just pooped over there. It takes 8 to 14 days for their gut microbes to adjust to new grazing. So this is a new area. They've been here, what, just over a week. And of course, the grass is brown. There is a protein deficiency in the grass. I do have 2 blocks out that I've put out. They do contain urea, but their intake is very little. And I can see with my grazer GPS collars, it's actually quite nice because I can see how much they're grazing, when they're grazing, and how often they visit the salt licks and the blocks. And they only tend to go once a day. So as you guys can see, the cattle are looking beautiful. We're doing well. Next week I'll be going to Parys, Free State. They have the Drakensberger auction there on Thursday, if I remember correctly. Wednesday they have an information day. PJ Butler is going to come out and speak to all the guys about cattle selection and cattle farming and selecting for profitable cattle and so forth. So if any of you are loose or in the area, look it up on Facebook. I don't have a link as such. I'll see if I can find one. But look it up on Facebook because you need to RSVP ahead of time. But I'm really looking forward to going to the auction. I'm really looking forward to hearing what PJ Butler has to say. He's fairly well known on YouTube. And I'm hoping to learn quite a lot while I'm there. And I'll do a video quickly of the cattle that are around. I'm just wondering, June, where are we now? June. No, it can't be. Now I'm just wondering where the other cow is. I thought there might be a possibility that she was pregnant and I wasn't aware of it. But her calf Fritzy was born on the 23rd of June. So it's not impossible. She was running with the bull at that time, with Fred. So maybe she's calved down. Wouldn't that be a surprise? Guys, I'm going to stop this video and go and have a look where she is quickly. Who knows? Maybe I can find her with a calf. Let's hope it's good news rather than bad news. So hang in there. I'll be reporting back shortly. Okay guys, so my other Thule cow is calved. Now the sad thing is, I didn't even know she was pregnant. I'd actually lamented to one of my sons the other day that I thought she might not have been bred successfully, and I was concerned that I might have to get rid of her. But thinking back, I realize when she calved last year, Fred was running with them and he ran with them for 3 or 4 months. And at the time, because it was winter, I didn't think she would cycle and I didn't think he would breed her. And I'm slowly walking up to her. But look at that. She's just calved down. And ironically, I saw her vulva swelling. But because I thought that she hadn't been bred, I thought she was just coming on heat. Amazing. And it's a heifer calf. A beautiful little heifer calf. Isn't this amazing? Now, just quickly while I'm here. Hello, girl. Beautiful little heifer calf. Look at that. I'm just going to see if I can get into... There we are. Now we can see her perfectly. Just quickly while I'm here. Look at all the green in the grass. There's a lot of green in the grass here. But that's not why I'm here. Look at that beautiful little heifer calf. So she calved last year, the 23rd of June. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 14th of June today. Without inputs, without supplementation, without supplementation, let me be honest. She had a salt lick, and for last year, July, I gave them a urea block for the month. That was it. Despite that, on winter grazing, with no extra inputs, no production lick, no maize, no grain whatsoever, she still cycled, and she's given us a beautiful, beautiful little heifer calf. Guys, these cattle are machines. This is unexpected, but what a bonus. Now, I just need to be careful. We've got caracal in this camp, so I'll keep my eye on her. But she's absolutely gorgeous, and my wife and 2 sons are waiting there impatiently. They also want to see. So guys, yeah, that's it. A beautiful little unexpected heifer calf. What a blessing. Anyway, I'm going to stop this here, and I'll continue my video a little bit later. Okay guys, quickly, just in this area, as I mentioned, I allowed the cattle to stay longer in this camp because of the inclement weather. Now, if you just look around, here's a little clearing. The trees are fairly dense, so they block the wind. Despite the fact that it rained, they blocked the wind, and it went a far ways towards breaking the wind chill factor. And these are just stupid things that I see. Well, I say stupid. I didn't think of it myself in terms of the green grass. I only looked at the wind chill factor, and yet I see my neighbor's cattle, and I'm not out to criticize anyone. I think people often don't think of these things. But my neighbors left their cattle out in the open camps, and all that cold wind does is comes and it strips condition off your cattle, because they can't take in enough energy and protein to meet their maintenance requirements, and they actually get cold. So this is typically the type of area, and the tracks are all over. They've been all around here. They've been grazing. And as I said, there's still green grass around here. Look at that. If you recall just a couple of minutes back what it looked like, and you have a look at this area now, I apologize for the quality of this. There we are, that's better, of this video. The sun's not in the best place, and I'm a little overexcited due to the unexpected calf. So I'm like a kid who found out it's Christmas. But just look at those green grasses and those green patches. That is actually a cutbush. But there's a lot of green in and amongst your trees. Just have a look at that. Let me show you there. And what I found was, I think I might have mentioned it, a lot of the grasses that are still green between the trees are actually red grass. Now in the open exposed areas, the grasses are dead. They're brown. And yet here, here's an example over there. This is a red grass. They've grazed it. But you can see still the green shoots that they've just recently grazed off. So what I'm trying to say, and I guess what I'm getting at in a long-winded, mumbled fashion, is that we need to look at what we have in our properties. Okay guys, the alarms just went off, my collars went off while I was trying to record, but what I was trying to say is we often have tools available to us on our properties that we're not aware of. And sometimes we don't think of how to better apply these things. Just look at that green grass over there. Just look how green that grass is. And the cattle come in and graze that. And there she's on the other side. So I saw a lot of my neighbors weren't using or hadn't applied this. Their cattle are in a camp because they're using a system. Holistic farm management is a planning tool. It's a management tool. It's ever evolving, ever changing based on conditions and what happens. So that kind of made me think of put the cattle here. If you have trees on your property, and this is what I am to do, keep in mind you might have green grass for longer in the winter. Graze your open areas first because those grasses die off first, and save your green grasses for later in and amongst the trees. Also, you can then also use it when it's exceptionally cold. And if I'm a little bit mumbled and jumbled, guys, please forgive me. I've done a couple of takes, and yeah, there's a lot just making my mind wander at this point in time. But just use what you have better. Ironically, when I bought this property, or no, when my wife and I bought this property, lest I get another clap against the head again later, when my wife and I bought this property, I wasn't very excited about all the trees. I'd actually wanted to start thinning out the bush because I felt the trees were taking up unnecessary grazing space. But everything in life has a purpose. And I've realized that is the purpose of these trees. They give you good green grazing late in the winter. They give you good shelter against inclement weather. And heck, your cows can even calve unexpectedly. So yeah, guys, I'm going to cut it here. Thank you so much. My apologies if this one was extremely jumbled. But yeah, what a beautiful day. What an unexpected gift. Hope you guys have a good one. And maybe I'll meet up with some of you at the Drakensberg auction. Anyway, we'll chat again. Have a good one. Cheers.